30-plus years ago, this district was involved in a class action suit that called for full funding for the district, and we did not receive it. It took 30 years to get that, and then the governor that's presently in place has tried to change that funding formula so that the Camden City School District won't get it. But anyway, so we have, and I just read, instead of 20-some school districts that have applied for choice, there are now some 70 school districts that have applied for choice. Now, I'm sure that all of you board members understand what choice is, where a child can go to any school district within a 20-mile radius of this school district, and we pay for it. So we got choice, then we have charter schools. The charter schools are increasing every day. That's another dwindling of funds from our general budget outside of the district. Then the Renaissance schools is another project that will drain money from the general budget. Not only are the children getting 95% of the per pupil spending, but there's also a clause in there that speaks to the CPI and the increasing of the CPI. And if that increases, that means that more money is going to come out of the budget. We're not going to have the money to operate this district for those children who are left here because of the siphoning off of the funds for all of these other projects. And there are even more areas in the law, if you read it, that has not happened. And they tell you about special laws, and I see. I don't know what the real classification is of this school board, because we've had so many changes between the last 6 or 7 years, from partly appointed, party elected, fully appointed by the state and the city, and now by the mayor herself. So I don't know what our classification is. Mr. Azar, you may be able to tell us. It talks about a Class 1 and a Class 2 city. Excuse me? Presently, we are a Type 1. Is that what you said?
We are a Type 1 district, which is appointed by the mayor.
Okay. There's also information in this law about Class 1 and Class 2 cities. I don't know what our city is. Is it a Class 1 or a Class 2 city?
We're a Class 2.
The city is a Class 2?
It's based on the size of the city, based on the last census. The only two districts that are in Class 1 are Newark and Jersey City.
All right, so the city is a Class 2 city.
Yes.
And the district is a Class 1 school district.
Type 1 district.
I'm sorry. Anyway, there's language in this law that applies to whether or not you're a Class 1 or Class 2 school district and city. So I don't know if all of you have read this law completely, but there are some conflicts because there are supposed to have been some public meetings. And this is where it comes in. If it is a advisory board, if it's an advisory board, you're supposed to have at least 3 public meetings. If it's a regular board, it doesn't say you have to have public meetings. I don't understand it. It's a contradiction to me.
Okay.
But for these reasons, I am in opposition to the resolution.
All right. Can we have the roll?
Yes.
Can we have the roll call?
Ms. Blackshear?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
I vote no to Resolution 207, no to Resolution 210, no to Resolution 211, No to Resolution 212. No to Resolution 214. Oh, sorry, you already voted on that one, but still no, like I voted before. No to Resolution 222. No to Resolution 226. And no to Resolution 230. And I vote yes to the rest.
Ms. Coscarella?
I vote yes, except for Resolution 210.
Ms. Davis?
I vote yes for all except for 229. I believe that's the correct number.
Yes. Mr. Lamboy?
Yes.
Ms. Rebai?
For Resolution 210, I have to abstain from the physics curriculum, and yes to everything else.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Ms. Dunbar Bay?
Yes. Okay. All right. We will go to our public portion.
No, because I didn't see that.
Let me go catch up with you. Is Mrs. Delgado here?
The other piece I was talking about.
Is he here? Where's Mr. Davis? Is he here? They got to be in here. We got a meeting to conduct. All right.
Yes, my name is Ulysses Delgado, 60 years in Camden here. It's time for this board to resign. Getting tired of these state reports that the state came over, and I've been hearing in the radio Sunday, our city councilman Lopez discrediting all you guys up there, how lousy work that you guys are doing. And Superintendent, it's time for you to step down. You missed 222 days of this district. I talked to the mayor the other day. She told me it's up to the school board. It's time for you to go. And thank you very much, and have a blessed day.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Delgado. Where is I got a list. The whole list. All right. Where's Mr. Davis? If they're not here, I'm just going to go on. I'm not going to go back, and then they get an attitude. I'm not going. All right. Mr. Charles T. Ashley. Right here. Okay.
My name is Charles Ashley. I live in Camden. This is in reference to policy going wrong. In the 07-08 school year, my increment was withheld. And through meetings, I told the HR that it wasn't done right. The way it was done, I wasn't given any chance to any corrective measures whatsoever. It was just held. 5 years later, now they're telling me that I owe the board. That doesn't make any sense. If I hadn't have brought it up, I wouldn't have owed the board anything. They said they docked my pay. I have no paperwork that states that my checks were docked. They said I had overpayments. The 9/14 and 9/28, that's a biweekly pay. So how could that be an overpayment? I really don't understand it. But the procedure in which my increment was held should be voided because it wasn't done right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. Miss Diana Jones. And we have a whole list of people, so we're asking you, please, can you adhere to the 3 minutes?
Okay.
please. Thank you.
Giving honor to God, and I'm glad to see the superintendent well again. I have a couple things that I wanted to address. First of all, I want to talk about our governor, Chrissy. Now, he put out this thing that you can send your child to any school you want to send them to. Yes, you send them to any school you want to send them to. And as soon as they get tired of the Camden schools, they send the kids back and they take the money. If you're going to send the kids back, darn it, bring the money back too. Right is right and right ain't never wrong, nobody. Number two, talking about the state, I get so tired of hearing about the state. The state is human just like we are. When they go to the restroom, they have to use toilet paper just like we do. Now, when they're wrong, they're wrong. And to just keep marking Camden down, it's not right. And when you come to Camden with your nose up on your shoulder and acting like you smell manure, how do you think if the adults that are teachers, and how do you think children feel when they walk into the classroom? I used to tell people, if you come into school with an attitude, if those children never pick up that attitude, you might have stayed home and got your second cup of coffee because they're going to give you a run for your money. The same thing with the state. The state should treat Camden just like they do them suburb people, because right is right. The third thing I wanted to speak on was our president, Barack Obama. We should not allow our institutions, when they go to speak about our president, to address him as Barack Obama. And it's partly the media's fault. Because, number one, if you ever listen to them, no matter whether the president has been deceased, whether they had did out their job and sat down or whatever, they still address them as the late president whatever. But when it comes down to President Barack Obama, it's always Barack. I've heard the teachers. I've been in the schools when I hear the teachers talking about Barack Obama. If we, as teachers and directors and instructors, if we don't teach our children respect for the President of the United States, who the devil's going to do it? Regardless whether you like him, dislike him, think he's doing good, think he's going, regardless of any of that, the bottom thing remains that he is the President of the United States and he needs to be respected as so. One more thing I'm going to say and I'm going to sit down. How the state, I don't know what's wrong with them. They act like they half past crazy, quarter past nuts. But anyhow, how can you, I went into a school one day and the children were acting out. And I spoke to the teacher. I said, now you can tell me, mind your business, get out my room, whatever you want to say, but I'm going to say what I got to say. I said, why are you allowing these children to act like this? You know, she told me, she looked at me with amazement. Well, aren't they supposed to act like this? I said, excuse me? We're taught that minority children aren't supposed to act this way. No, they're not. I asked the children, I said, if your mother walked in and seen you acting like this, what would she do? You know what they said? She beat the fool out of us.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. That's interesting. All right. Ms. Monique Ragsdale. Good evening.
I have a couple of things. I know when I met with you guys last time, and we had some recent discoveries, and we're learning about the 3173, the Renaissance School, and I know that you guys said you would come to Landing Square. I would like to know if you do come to Landing Square, and when you do, if you can give the parents a sufficient enough time and notice so that they can be there to discuss this, and also, you know, have someone, I guess, like Lester or Save the Schools in New Jersey, or, you know, that can actually go in detail of what the Renaissance School project is. They need to be discuss that. And there's another thing I wanted to know was, you said there was, I know, you said there was a letter that was sent on the 23rd. What is the waiting period, or how long should we wait until we hear something back, or for you guys to proceed? And that's basically all I have. I also want to know if there's a time where I can come and speak to you guys regarding for educational structure. I think that is something that a lot of us is missing here. We need reform in education and a public education. And with the parents, according to the Title I, parent involvement, we need to be able to come together with the parents, with the community, and work to try to help our children. Our children should be afforded the same education as any other school in this. It shouldn't be no segregation or separation because a public school, charter school, or any other type of alternative school. Traditional public education is what we are about. A lot of us backgrounds are from traditional education, and we need to proceed as such, and we need to cherish and nurture our children as such. And that's all I have to say.
Okay,
In reference to the parental piece with the Title I, you're absolutely correct. And there are meetings that are being put in place that we are asking parents from each school to be a part of. The Parent Advisory Councils is your PAC in your individual schools. Okay? So I have your number and we will reach out.
okay.
Thank you.
Is there any length of time for the letter?
There is no set length of time. The school district wrote a letter to the state, to the SDA, inquiring about the status of a project. If we don't get a response within a reasonable period of time, we will follow up. But there's no set, no statute of limitations, so to speak, in which they must respond.
Okay, and in regard to the community meeting, I got a proposal today for April 14th, but I have to check and make, we have to wait to hear back from the, so we will, once we get a date, we will definitely get the information out in a timely manner so we can have.
That's an important thing.
And we need someone that speaks Spanish. Okay. All right. We will do Spanish and English. Okay. All right, Mr. Gary Frazier.
Well, I guess this would have to go to Mr. Michael Zara, since you are.
Well, you have to direct it to me.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Gary Frazier, longtime Camden resident, community activist in our city. I guess I'll direct it to you, since Mr. Azaria presented it to you guys earlier.
Okay.
So, as you know, New Jersey has a school funding formula that distributes state aid based on the needs of individual children. Is that correct? Okay. Wherever they live. The proposed fiscal year 2013 state budget would underfund that formula for the fourth year in a row. The proposed budget includes a shortfall of more than $700 million versus what the current school funding formula stipulates New Jersey public schools should receive. The proposed fiscal year 2013 budget would underfund almost 90% of all school districts across the state. If the budget is enacted, our state's excellent public school system would have been underfunded by more than $3.6 million. And this has been going on since the fiscal year 2010. This is funding that our schools will never receive back. This persistent underfunding not only shortchanges our children's future, it also places an increased burden on the local communities in the form of higher property taxes and fees. Even more worrisome than this persistent underfunding, however, are changes to the funding formula that would go in effect if this budget is adopted. These changes would have a disproportionate impact on those communities that have larger percentages of low-income and non-English speaking students, in which you referenced to that about how you would administer aid. It would be administered according to what you would say would be your at-risk students. These changes, like as I said, would have a disproportionate impact on those communities that have a large percentage of low-income and non-English speaking students. Upon research, we found that for the resident enrollment in 2011, Camden City had a population of 14,707 students. The at-risk reduction, which they refer to as the free or reduced lunch students, stand to lose $12,495,234.
Mr. Frazier, you're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay. The limited English proficiency, or those students who speak English in our city, stand to lose $39,953. So I say to you, Mr. Azario, when you talk about trying to bring changes here, or you just delivering reports from the machine, have you, tell them to do it with proficiency. Because make no mistake, we will continue to do our homework as well, too. And we will challenge these things that are happening in our city. And also, for the Renaissance and the public school, also for the Renaissance and the charter schools, we must make notion of these things. Ms. Davis, I think you hit it on point when you said that these things require community involvement. They also require a vote of your board, also of the teachers who will be teaching at that school, and also for the parents of the students who will be attending. Okay. So I will wrap it up with saying this here, that we intend to challenge this budget passed by the state.
All right, thank you, Mr. Frazier. All right, Ms. Sheila Roberts.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It gives me great pleasure to come before the board again in regards to the Landon Square School. Before I begin, I'd just like to say we had about 18 people that wanted to speak this evening, but because of the lateness of the hours and them having to get their children to school in the morning, a lot of them were unable to stay. When you're working with community and you're engaging the community, those types of things you have to take into consideration. So I'm happy to see that you are going to come to the community, and with due notice, maybe some of those parents will be able to address you at that time. So I thank you for that. When a local school closes, neighborhoods feel the loss in many ways. The school was a central institution in our Landon Square neighborhood. Now we have no school. The neighborhood has been dismantled because of the school closing. Not only did it cause some residents to move out of the neighborhood, but it also put a tremendous hardship on those residents that remain in the neighborhood. We have 562 families that signed a petition along with community stakeholders and 3 grassroots community organizations. And we have united together to get this petition signed to request the Board of Education to provide a viable option for addressing the displacement of our children from our neighborhood to other schools. And we requested that the board act on support on behalf of the community for the Renaissance School, and we thank you for doing that, and thank you for doing it expeditiously. This united front for a new school is what is important to the community right now. We understand that this is outside, we have outside interference from individuals that do not live in our community, but they have valid concerns as well. But as a community, we like to address our concerns because we are the ones that live in that community, not people coming from the outside. They have a right to sue if they want, but they're not always suing on behalf of the entire community of Landon Square, and I felt as though you should know that. We have people that are involved, and many of them are here this evening, live in North Camden, live in Kramer Hill, live in Cherry Hill, and while we are being blindsided by the confusion that is being caused, they will be getting a school in their neighborhood, be it charter, Renaissance, or what have you. So we're not falling for that. We take care of our own business. We have united, and when united, we will stand. We have no school. We cannot wait 3 to 5 years while there's a lawsuit being had for us to get a school. We will accept a Renaissance school. We will work with this administration. We will have an advisory group that comes out of the community, willing to work with the city administration or whoever we have to work with to ensure that every child in Landon Square in that catchment area is able to attend that school. I understand that there are a few board members who have concern about the impact that the school will have on the budget and on the current teaching staff. However, that's your administration concern, because our primary concern is those students, nothing else. We are concerned about those students. Those students have an extenuating circumstance. It is not their fault that that school had to be closed. It's not the parents' fault. So this is a difficult situation here, but our primary concern is the education of our students. And the other concern is that the impact that the closing of the Landon Square School is having on the neighborhood. We have two separate and distinct redevelopment plans. No one will invest in our community as far as development of housing. They're not going to come in and buy a house where there's no school. They're not going to come in and bring businesses. I don't care if they did build a medical school. If you have no elementary school to send any child to, no one's going to make an investment in that neighborhood. So I thank you for doing the right thing. I had all the faith in you that you would do it because I understand you are concerned about our kids just as well as we are. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
I have the petitions. Who do you want me to give them to?
Thank you. Is Sheila Davis here?
She's here. Who do I give these petitions to?
I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. And as a matter of fact, I've gotten petitions by way of email. Go ahead, Ms.
Okay, thank you.
Give it to Ms. Beeman. Give it to Ms. Beeman. Okay? Okay.
Good evening, Board, Superintendent, President, Vice President. I stand before you this evening thanking you, number one. Number two, as a resident and a stakeholder in Landon Square School, I must say how hurt I was to have to see our kids dislocated, being bused, not only to one school, but two schools, Parkside and Fetters. As any parent know, it's a physical and mental change that our kids had to endure for a long period of time. It must stop. It must change. I understand that people aren't as open to change, but a change is what we need. Therefore, I'm asking the Board of Education to begin to work with the community and the major stakeholders in Landon Square West to provide a newly constructed school facility with the educational programming for Landon Square students enrolled in grades K through 12, and that the newly constructed Renaissance School is named Landon Square School. Providing a process that is transparent in identifying and selecting a partner that allows for public input and comment. Collaborating with the community as they support a partnership with the City of Camden to facilitate any needed technical assistance by the chosen nonprofit entity. Mandating that all students residing in the Landon Square catchment area have first preference to attend the new Renaissance School. Working to ensure that an open and fair process or consideration for possible hiring of some Landon Square teaching staff for the Renaissance School is implemented. I trust that you would take these things under great consideration as we continue to work in partnership, not only with the teachers, but with the board. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. I'll get it from her. Do we have a copy? Could you give that to our secretary? Copy that to our secretary. All right, thank you. Keith Stewart.
Good night, everybody. This is Keith Stewart, President of Landon Square West Residents in Action. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. It's 1:15 and I'm tired. We took a survey of the residents in the neighborhood, and the majority of the residents are actually in favor of that Renaissance School. That's basically it. We had a conflict. One organization had a survey, and they said they had majority of public schools, and we went back and we got in favor of a Renaissance school. So it's like a little conflict there, conflict of interest. But the majority of them said that they are in favor of a Renaissance school. So we have to go with what the residents want, because like I said, we started the eminent domain process against the city. So we are a group is Landing Square West residents in the actions. So we definitely had to do what the residents are in favor of. So that's it.
Thank you, sir. All right, do we have Omara Guzman? All right. What about Ebony Custis?
I think they're all part of the 18. Let me 11. You should ask if there's anyone else.
Is there anyone else that was with the group that are still here, Miss? Okay, what's your name, dear?
My name is Stephanie Crawley.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm just coming from a parent's point of view. I grew up on Warden Street, which was 35 years ago. To see the school, see the street right now, it's nothing but an open lot. And the kids, they need a place to go. These are our next generation. We have to raise up our kids to be able to speak, to be able to talk, to be their next president. Without a school, how can they be their next president or their next janitor or their next police officer without a school? So I'm just pushing that we able to have the Renaissance school, and just coming from a parent's point of view. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's get the public first.
I thought
Or
you had.
do you have something to help? I mean,
Well,
Reverend
no,
Torres, I didn't
I'll
call
wait
you
until
yet.
after they finish.
All right. Mr. Francis, Kelly Francis.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and superintendent and staff. Kelly Francis, Camden resident. This is kind of a follow-up to my comments, my very brief comments that I made at the educational forum at the aquarium, I believe, last week. You know, I was hesitant to speak because there's no way that I can relate 63 years of my involvement in the Camden School District in 2 minutes. But at the last minute, I decided I'd say something anyway, because I hear so many negative comments that preceded me speaking. So I just wanted to say something positive about what's going on in the Camden School District, and there's a lot positive going on. And it has been going on for the entire 63 years that I have been involved in the Camden School District as a student. My two sons were students, graduates of Camden School District. My two grandsons were students. And of course, since I retired 20-some years ago, I've been coming to school board meetings, and I have been involved directly with students through our NAACP AXO program for the past 10 years. So I know about the positive outcomes in the Camden School District. And I've seen it for 63 years, and we know what the answers are that produces these positive outcomes of the students. We know what the answers are, but nobody asks us. You know, nobody bothers to ask us who have been around for 3 generations. We here are just disturbed by all of these comments I read about, all these pundits and critics in the newspapers and on TV, so-called experts. Suddenly, overnight, they become experts. They haven't spent 5 minutes in the city of Camden in their entire lives, but yet they are so-called experts of what Camden needs or what Camden should be doing in order to produce successful students. Well, we're doing it. We have been doing it for long before I came along, 63 years ago. So I just wanted to follow up because in 2 minutes, even 3 minutes, I cannot begin to express my opinions, my observations, my direct knowledge of what's been happening in this Camden School District. So I hope that I didn't mislead anybody or nobody didn't misunderstood me at the forum for those 2 minutes. But I just wanted to, and another thing. When I was growing up, there was a song I was just saying, it was called
Kelly.
accentuate the positive,
Mhm.
eliminate the negative, and don't mess with myths in between. All those inconsequential, irrelevant things, just push them aside and accentuate the positive. Let's build on that, all the positives, and we know what they are, and eliminate the negatives. Okay? I just wanted to...
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. All right, Ms. Joyce E. Carter.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? I'm a product of the Camden School District, and my son graduated from here. My mother was a product, and my grandmother, because my family arrived here in 1895 in Camden City. And I'm telling you this for a reason. And where Camden Catholic stands was my grandfather's farm. But when I arrived here tonight to the meeting, I was okay. When I walked in the door, I ran into a couple of counselors. I'm retired, but I was in the district for over 36 years. Darn good counselor. I asked about scholarships. I delivered scholarships to each high school. I do it every year for the last 10 years for this group called Unique Positive Crew. I was told, oh, they were passed out. I said, well, did you follow up? If you have a department chairperson at the high school, and I'm really upset about it, the chairperson's supposed to do the job. You have counselors that are not trained. And I said this before. You got new people in that don't know what they're doing. I also met with a gentleman tonight before I arrived here because I wanted to talk with him about the Wilberforce scholarships that I used to get for the high school to see if they would bring it back. But to come in and hear that, and I said, well, did you make a list of the students you gave it to? And he looked at me like I was crazy. Come on, folks, we got to get it together. They're not doing the job. And not only them, the principal is supposed to follow up. I worked under some darn good principals. First thing they would say, Carter, had the scholarships coming. Did you get the list of the names? I want to check. I don't hear this. If they would stop some of them working on their darn PhDs and do their job. And I'm serious. Now, I'm going to pretty soon, I might do a writing and name some names, because I've had it. It's not right to the student.
Ms. Carter, could you
All
wrap it
right,
up?
just wait a minute.
Well, you got 1 minute.
The guidance educational program specialist who was hired under guidance, and I talked about this before, there has been no programs through guidance under this person because she's not qualified, and you're keeping an unqualified person in this position.
All right, Ms. Carter, thank you.
I want something done. I'm not coming here just to waste my breath. Something has to be done,
All right,
please.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. All right, Ms. Claudia Cream.
Good evening. First, let me address the CUSAC information. If you've been around any length of time and you've been a part of all the teams that have come through the city, and I'm sure Ms. Sarah Davis will agree, a lot of the information that was in the report is recycled information that they keep bringing back. And I was concerned when I read the paper about the educational forum and the individuals that attended did not have an opportunity to hear the information about the CUSAC report. So because, I think globally That led me to believe that there's something that they do not want the public to know. So when people refuse to give you information, that means either it's not accurate and they want to tweak it to benefit their cause. So keep that in mind as you're moving along. And then as I read through and knew that you were bringing up some information tonight, I thought about, I'm a lover of Dr. Oz and Grey's Anatomy. But because I love Dr. Oz and Grey's Anatomy, that does not mean I can go out and open a medical practice. But the fact of the matter is, you have individuals who have no educational background but are authority in education. We have more people that know about education, and then we have those who feel they're expert in everything, and no one is an expert in anything. And I say that to say a lot of things that are taking place now is done by design. So keep that in mind. Yes, we need a school in Landing Square, but they should have a public school. Not a Renaissance school, public school. The Urban Hope Act has to be approved by the board before it goes to the state for approval. Board, you should pull it off until you get together. Ms. Davis is giving you information based on her repertoire of experience being in the school. You cannot learn about education if you go to see little plays or you step in for a day. And I'm not disparaging anyone, but you have to be there on a daily basis to see what's going on in and out. We do a lot for our children here in the city. These are our babies. And I say it to say they've taken the vote away. You cannot vote for budget. You cannot vote for the school board. It's being done by design. Divide and conquer. So, board, put this to the side. As I said, Ms. Davis has experience. She can give you information of what takes place in the school. But we, as a people, as a society, we're caught up on the messenger instead of the message. So if that's the case, convene a think tank where you have individuals from, not inside, retired. We have enough retired administrators. We have enough retired teachers. We have enough PTA individuals that have been around for a long time. We have community. That's what we need to do before you look at Renaissance or Hope. Keep in mind, not everyone is for our children. So let's not sell our children to the highest bidder or those who have private agendas. Because keep in mind, these schools are coming in, I'm sure they have someone waiting. And it may not be to our benefit. And later on, when everyone has gone from all the administration, who has to clean up the mess? Thank you.
Mr. Davis. Come on now. Let's keep it real, keep it calm.
I'll always keep it real. I like to say this here. Mungalisa Davis, longtime resident of the city of Camden. Mr. Omar Jackson, I talked last week, was talking about the destruction of black boys and stuff. Standing room only. Standing room only. Parents came out and brought their sons. May the 16th at 6 o'clock at Virtual Health Kelly Room, Mr. Omar will be back again. How you can control your children's behavior without medication. Bring your boys there. Now, let me get on to business. I'll do the segue on this. The segue on this, what Mrs. Sarah Davis said about that. 30 years we bought that suit to get to parity, Mrs. Bay, of the disproportion of the money that was spent in the suburbs, 30 years. And when they made the settlement, they were going to build new schools 10 years ago. The politicians moved in on us and mugged us for $2 million of our money. And not one politician, the people who are advocating now didn't say anything. Not even the board said we're going to sue for that money. $2 million, Miss Bay. We waited for and better schools, better material, because it was a disparity where our children were not learning. Now here come Cusack. Oh, you'll fail in schools. We're going to give you a Hope Act and Renaissance. We didn't even get the money. It was taken from us, Miss Bay. Did you hear what this man from the state said last week? $5